So you've been watching, Mark. You've been watching all these summer league practices. What's your takeaway?
Well, the practices have been closed, but I've been at Summer League the past few years. And, you know, it's easy to say it's just Summer League, but when you look at the attendance, 38% of Laker fans go to the games, and there's been a lot of interest for two reasons. They've had lottery picks, so this is their early glimpse of what does this guy bring to the table? What does D'Angelo Russell look like? What does Brandon Ingram look like? And then there's kind of an element of intrigue of what do the role players look like? And they've had some nice surprises in recent years where guys like Larry Nance Jr. and Ivica Zubac suddenly became fan favorites because they were able to bring a lot of good hustle plays. So kind of circling back to this year's Summer League, the obvious attention is going to be on Lonzo Ball and what kind of player he is. But there's so many other storylines as well. Brandon Ingram's coming back. Ivica Zubac is coming back. And then they have another handful of draft picks in Kyle Kuzma and Thomas Bryant and Josh Hart, not to mention David Nwaba from the D-League last year, that, hey, maybe they bring some new surprises that could make this in for an exciting Lakers season next year.
Is there, what do we know about like Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram and relationships now being forged through these practices?
Colin, it started off really well. At Lonzo Ball's request, his locker is right next to Brandon Ingram for a very specific reason. He wants to learn from Brandon Ingram, and I think that that's kind of established two things that could be predominant themes throughout the season. Where Lonzo Ball, there's a lot of hype around him, but he has shown the maturity and growth mindset in wanting to prove himself as a professional and be a sponge. And then with Brandon Ingram, he kind of came in last year, number 2 pick. He didn't post glamorous numbers, and his shot wasn't always consistent. But when you talk to the Lakers, there's a reason why that they made him untouchable in trade talks. They're really encouraged with his work ethic, his versatility, his growth in the post, his ball handling. And now when you look at this season, the assistant coach, Judd Bushler, who's the Lakers Summer League coach, was saying, hey, this is Brandon Ingram's team. We want him to be the leader, and I think when you look at Lonzo Ball as an example of wanting his locker to be next to his, it shows that Brandon Ingram has already built some credibility within the Lakers organization and his teammates that he could be that guy.
You know, it's interesting. Mark Medina joining us in Las Vegas, debut tonight, Lonzo Ball. Last year, a lot of the Laker players were at this because they're the youngest team or one of them in the league. Now, the way the Summer League works, you play draft picks, some undrafted guys. How many of the recognizable, because it's funny, if I ran the Lakers now, I'd actually want the core group of guys playing and getting more reps. But you know how the Summer League works. How many recognizable Lakers will Lonzo play with?
There's going to be a lot. Okay, so Brandon Ingram is going to be there, and he's going to be in the starting lineup next season. Ivica Zubac will be on the team. He's coming off the bench. And then those other draft picks I mentioned with Kyle Kuzma, Josh Hart, Thomas Bryant, David Nwaba, they're all on the actual regular season roster. Now, to your point of how much they're going to play, as much as the Lakers have been talking about Brandon Ingram and him wanting to kind of build off of last year, he's only guaranteed to play at least the first 3 games. At the end of the day, this is Summer League. They want him not to burn out and be healthy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they shut him down at the end. But, you know, the Lakers are attaching a lot of importance with this. They've talked openly, Lonzo Ball and some of the other players, about wanting to win the Summer League championship. And I think the thought process is this is step one of kind of changing the culture, setting the tone after, frankly, the last 4 years. They haven't made the playoffs. There's been a lot of coaching change, a lot of turnover from a roster standpoint. So they think this is a pretty important thing when you're looking at their development.
2 more questions. Mark Medina in Las Vegas, Summer League, Lonzo Ball debuts tonight. Number 1, Rajon Rondo. There's talk the Lakers have a little bit of cap space left. What's the latest on Rondo possibly being a Laker?
There's definitely a possibility. The Lakers have had talks with his representatives the last few days. They've also been doing research because on one hand, you know, Rajon Rondo has a pretty good track record as a point guard. He has championship experience, but his shooting accuracy isn't the greatest, and I think more importantly, there's been question marks at the tail end of his career when he's been at Dallas, Sacramento, and Chicago. of how good of a locker room guy is he. He's clashed with different coaches, but at the same time, there's been a lot of teammates that have kind of sworn by him and saying that he was a great mentor. So I think the Lakers are kind of sifting through all that information, trying to, sort out fact from fiction. But at the end of the day, I don't expect there to be too much of a splash in free agency. Obviously, it already started less than a week ago, and they haven't done any deals. The thought process is they want to get some guys on one-year deals, preserve that cap space for next summer when guys like Paul George, LeBron James, and Russell Westbrook might be free agents.
And finally, Mark, my prediction was that the attendance for Lonzo is going to be big. This is going to be Summer League record stuff. Have you heard? I mean, what is the buzz in town about tonight's game with Lonzo debuting in the NBA?
Well, I've been told there's still tickets left tonight, but it's almost at near capacity. Tomorrow's game, the Lakers and the Celtics, it's already sold out. So if you were thinking of, hey, I'm going to play it by ear, see what happens in the debut, you kind of lost your chance. But the Lakers play another game on Monday against Sacramento, and then depending on how those games go, they'll have at least 2 other games at a time to be determined. But, I mean, the buzz has already formed. It's the Lakers, it's Lonzo, and they've been through this rodeo the past few years because they've had a lot of different lottery picks and late first-round picks they want to get a glimpse of on their Summer League team.